Hey everyone, it's Michelle. In today's video, I am finally getting around to reviewing for you a sunscreen. It is none other than the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Rice Plus Probiotics SPF50 PA 4+. I picked this up last year. I saw it right in front of me at my local DM drugstore. I could not resist, especially with all the hype that this sunscreen has been getting since it launched. Not to spoil this video entirely, but I did feature this in my 2023 favorites. It was one of 3 sunscreens that I mentioned. If you're interested in checking out the rest of my favorites, I'll leave a link to that in the description box down below. But I thought since I'm almost done the tube of the sunscreen, it was time that I give it a dedicated review before I finish it up. Having said that, let's get right into this review on how the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen performed on my oily and dehydration prone skin. According to the Beauty of Joseon website, Relief Sun is a lightweight and creamy type organic sunscreen that's comfortable on skin. Even if you apply a large amount several times, it is not sticky and gives a moist finish like that of a light moisturizing cream. Containing 30% rice extract and grain fermented extracts, it provides moisture and nourishment to the skin. This retails for $18 but I purchased it for around 23 euros. It comes in a 50 ml tube. It is an opaque kind of pale pink tube with a twist top cap. It is not water resistant and it is free of fragrance and denatured alcohol. It is produced in Korea. That's it for the general description of the sunscreen. Now let's get into the ingredients list, starting off with the UV filters. So like the description mentioned, this is an all organic sunscreen, meaning it's an all chemical sunscreen, but without any mineral filters. This contains 5 different types of UV filters, all covering the UVB, UVA1, and UVA2 spectrum. So the first one, which covers all UVA wavelengths, is Uvinol A+. Second, we have Uvinol T150, which covers the UVB rays. Thirdly, we have Tinosorb M, which covers UVB and UVA rays. What's interesting about Tinosorb M, even though it is an organic UV filter, is that its original form is a white powder, kind of like zinc oxide. So whenever you see an all-organic sunscreen or a sunscreen with Tinosorb M, you may have noticed you sometimes get a white cast. I've noticed that when I used the Bioderma Photoderm Milk years ago. It had Tinosorb M. So I always noticed here or there is a potential white cast. So that's just something to keep note about with this sunscreen as I move on into this review. Fourthly, we have Tinosorb S, another very popular broad spectrum sunscreen. So it covers UVB and UVA rays just like Tinosorb M. And lastly, we have Isotretinoin, which covers UVB and UVA2. So based on the 5 UV filters I mentioned, this has a nice spectrum of UV protection from the sun. What I found pleasantly surprising while I was writing up my review for the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen was that on the Beauty of Joseon website, on the product page for this sunscreen, they actually provide 2 test results of this sunscreen, both from Korea and Spain, on the SPF and PA rating. For the Korean lab, it said the SPF protection was around a 52.5, the Spanish lab being 63.1. For the PA, so the UVA protection, the Korean lab said it was a UVA PF of 16.1 and the Spanish lab a UVA PF of 19. Thank you, Beauty of Joseon, for providing that information. It saves the consumer a lot of time trying to figure out what the true protection is of the sunscreen. Obviously, with what's on the label, we can get an idea, but for those of us that are super curious of the protection, especially the UVA protection, it is much appreciated that those results are provided. That's it for the UV filters. Now let's move on to the other highlighted ingredients in this sunscreen, starting off with all the rice ingredients. So the main rice ingredient in here is rice extract at 30%. It's actually pretty high on the ingredients list. It's actually the second ingredient after water. And we have a few other rice components in this formula. We have rice germ extract at 1000 ppms, Monascus/rice ferment at 0.12 ppm, Lactobacillus rice ferment at 0.12 ppm, and Saccharomyces rice ferment filtrate at 0.12 ppm. So alongside the rice extract, there are trace amounts of fermented rice ingredients in this formula. For me personally, I really like rice as a supplemental ingredient in my skincare routine. I noticed whenever I use any type of rice-based product, my skin looks instantly brighter and softer. I can definitely see how using rice long term can yield beneficial skin results, such as anti-aging results, because again, it's just making your skin really nice and soft, bright, and even. With that being said though, I don't expect any miracles when it comes to rice in general. Like I said, it's just a really lovely supplemental ingredient to incorporate in one's skincare routine. For the other ingredients, we have niacinamide, which is one of my favorites because it not only brightens my skin, it noticeably reduces my pores. It helps to regulate sebum, it is anti-inflammatory, and it helps to strengthen my skin barrier. Secondly, we have Camellia senescens leaf extract, which is also an anti-inflammatory ingredient, great for those of us with acne-prone skin, and it's also an antioxidant. Thirdly, we have Panax ginseng root extract in the formula, which is a lovely antioxidant to have, and ginseng extract is also known to increase circulation in the skin. Adenosine is also in the formula, which is anti-inflammatory, wound healing, and helps with barrier repair. And lastly, for the highlighted ingredients, we have tocopherol, the classic vitamin E, which is an antioxidant. Looking at the ingredients list as a whole on my tablet over here, there's no moisturizing ingredient in here that I would consider really heavy or concerning for those of us with oily skin, something that would just make this an unenjoyable sunscreen. So based on the ingredients alone, this seems like a lovely lightweight sunscreen that has a variety of anti-inflammatory, wound healing, antioxidant ingredients, plus ingredients that help to brighten and repair the skin. Definitely a bunch of nice to have ingredients in a sunscreen alongside the actual sun protection. So let's move on to the texture of this product. It is, as it said, a nice light cream. So here it is on my hand, and as you could see, very easy to blend. And even though you could see a little bit of whiteness once you apply, it goes away completely. Here it is fully massaged into my skin, and as you can see, there's a nice sheen to it. It does not feel greasy at all. It doesn't feel tacky, and it doesn't look overwhelmingly shiny, no cast whatsoever. I think just on that alone, it's a great sunscreen for any skin type. How I apply this in my skincare routine is, of course, as the last step. I use about a finger joint's worth, use that all over my face and neck, all in one go, no need to do layers with this sunscreen. It glides on the skin super easily, and it's just overall a joy to use. Definitely a cosmetically elegant sunscreen. After initial application, I notice my face looks bright and glowy, and I feel like there's a smidge of a tone-up effect coming from the Tinasorb M in the formula. But once the sunscreen sits, I noticed that that kind of tone-up effect goes away, and I'm not really worried about a cast from this sunscreen. The feel of the sunscreen is very light. After initial application, it does feel like there's some type of moisturizing finish on the skin, but I notice it does go away quickly. It doesn't really add a whole ton of moisture to the skin. It's truly lightweight. I wouldn't rely on this as something to be like a moisturizer and sunscreen in one. Because this is not a water-resistant sunscreen, this does sting my eyes, as with any other non-water resistant sunscreen I use. If I apply it around my eye area, it's going to move around and go into my eyes. That's just something you have to be careful about with non-water resistant sunscreens in general. Since the sunscreen sets so nicely on my skin, I don't really worry about it when it comes to applying makeup. My makeup, whatever I use, glides on really easily. This doesn't create any dry patches whatsoever. And actually, because it provides a nice kind of brightening complexion to my skin, I do find that more often than not, I don't need a whole lot of concealer when I use this. Actually, today I did apply this and I'm not wearing any type of base product on my face. I just did my eyebrows, curled my lashes, and put on some lip gloss. That's it for my experience with the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen. Now let's move on to my final thoughts. So the pros, the cons, and the in-between feels. Let's start off with the pros. The first one being that Beauty of Joseon provided lab results on the SPF and PA value of this sunscreen. That is, like I said, very much appreciated, especially for those of us who are particularly interested in knowing the numbers, especially the UVA protection, because saying a sunscreen is an SPF of 50 plus, PA4 plus, there is a lot of wiggle room for the numbers there. So it's nice to know what exactly those numbers potentially are. Having said that, another pro is that this is a cosmetically elegant sunscreen which has a high UVA protection that one can get on the Korean beauty market. It is extremely easy to use. It creates a brightening effect without a worry for white cast, and better yet, I was able to pick this up at my local DM drugstore. That's it for the pros. I have no cons, no in-between feels. Simply put, the Beauty of Joseon Relief Sun Rice Plus Probiotics SPF50 Plus PA4 Plus lives up to the hype. I love reaching for this in my skincare routine, and I completely understand why it is coveted amongst us Korean skincare lovers. What I especially appreciate in my circumstance in particular is that once I empty this out, I can easily go purchase it at my local DM drugstore. No need to purchase it on any online retailer, wait for a few weeks at a time. I can just get this whenever I need it. That is it for this review. As always, I hope you find content like this helpful and informative. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel down below for future videos. Let me know what you think about the Beauty of Joseon sunscreen and actually how it compares to the Round Lab one. That's one that I've been interested in for quite a while, but from my understanding, the formulas might be a little bit similar. So if you have tried both, let me know in the comments down below what you think. That is it for this video. See you all soon. Ciao.